Okay, we'll call the regular meeting to order. Matt's gonna lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Billy, you want to make a statement before we start going to the floor?
Sure. If that's what you'd like.
I think it might be helpful.
Before we open it up to privilege of the floor, on behalf of the town board of the town of Delhi, I'd like to address Facebook, essentially. You know, we've seen the piece on the post on Facebook and all the signatures that have been gathered, and I think it's important at this point that everybody in this room know that the town of Delhi has taken no action regarding this situation at all at this point. And we kind of felt like we were painted in a negative light, like the big bad wolf was coming down, and we're, at this point, there's been a complaint. The code enforcement officer has done a drive-by, and as of today, I still have no recommendation from him for any type of action or where we go from here. So I thought it was important to share that with you folks right up front, to clear up any miscommunications or thoughts about what might be going on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, our code enforcement officer, he tracked me down the other day and wanted to make sure that, we got the word out that we have not taken any action whatsoever. When he gets a complaint, he has to do an inspection. He did an inspection, and he has not made any recommendation to us one way or another at this point, so. We haven't issued any cease and desist or violations or fines or, I don't know, Facebook's Facebook. But anyway, if anyone would like privilege of the floor to address this or any other situation, this would be your time.
I think I could just save us all time right now. What I think we're all in here is not to get into this tonight, is what do? Get on the agenda with the town board to discuss how we proceed with this? Is that the procedure? We really don't know.
Basically, we're all here, not we're all here, but a lot of us are here just to get our complaints on record. Or we
Okay,
wanna know
if
how
you
we
wanna-
address
yeah,
our,
if you wanna get a complaint on record, you've
Yeah.
gotta file it with the code enforcement officer.
so all of us would individually
Yeah,
have to
you would
complain to the
individually
code
file with
officer.
him.
Okay,
And then he will, do his investigation and he will respond. But that's where you've gotta start.
and that's all.
And then if
we
he
need.
brings a recommendation one way or another to us, then we would discuss that here.
Okay,
Okay, and so there's two sides of the story.
Right.
So basically, I'm saying the other side doesn't have to do anything until something more is done, or?
At this point, they're not in any issue right now, they're
Right.
not written up, they're not in a violation.
Right, okay. I'm just trying to save everybody time, we're all just here for the information.
Well, and I was gonna say, since we're in the public comments section, I think it would be a great opportunity in 5 minutes or less for people with concerns to state their concerns, and also to give Joel and Maria an opportunity to state what they're trying to do at this point to address those concerns. Obviously, the board's not going to take any action tonight.
Right.
But I think since you're all here, it would be a shame for nothing to be said.
Thank you.
That's your opinion, Billy.
Matt?
Okay, Yeah, if you wish to speak, just let us know your name, so Elsa can get you in the minutes.
I can finish real quick, Jeff Ackerley. On my personal side, I'm kind of on both sides of this. I really like the community compost, everything they're doing, but unfortunately, it's affecting a lot of us with rats and with situations that, you know, is hard. So it's more of a location thing. I'm not trying to shut anything down. I'm just, I guess in a rudely say, just kind of saying not in my neighborhood. You know, in other words, it's a good thing, but it's just not working where it is, in my opinion. And I would just like to see it discussed and on the agenda, and that's really all I have to say.
Next.
My name is Kelly Kane, and I'm a neighbor, and we want to support Delhi Community Compost. We just think that there needs to be some oversight, there needs to be maybe some rules, and definitely a buffer space for their operation. Right now, our biggest complaints, we're the closest neighbors. Our orchard is 10 feet away from their operation. There's no drainage, it's at the base of a hill. The rats are out of control, and I'm not saying this lightly. During the day, you can see rats everywhere. We had no fruit this year from our orchard, not because we didn't have fruit, but because the rats cut up the trees and ate all the fruit. Our well, or our pond, is within 40 feet of their compost with no drainage. The brook is within 50 feet, and our spring is within 30 feet. They have a lot of animals. They're on 0.6 acres. They just need more space. We hope that maybe there's a municipal way to make Delhi Community Compost happen. But where we're at right now, I mean, I think the neighbors, it's pretty bad. The smell, the noise, I think everyone has different complaints, but for us, there are a lot of rats.
You walked out recently? Cause recently I walked out and there was nothing on our.
Because
I
they're
saw
in
that.
all of our houses, they're in our barns.
No, I got rid of
they're
them,
in our
Yeah.
and I got your letter,
Yeah,
and I got them again, so I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just,
right on.
I'm on both sides of this,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
but I don't want them in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Ben Decker, I'm a neighbor right behind. And I've talked with Joel and sometimes yelled at you a number of times. I wholeheartedly support what they're doing. I think it's a great thing for the environment, a great thing for people's waste and what, the process of it. But, I think they got a little big for their operation with the amount of space that they have. And, we've had rats in our house. We've got a new baby on the way, this year. And there's, been some other safety issues with, pulling out of the road is very tight. And there's been a couple close calls with not being able to see over the bank because of vehicles parked. And I do have to say that they've definitely cleaned up quite a bit. But it's hard to say whether that will continue. I've been wanting to talk to them this week. I own some property on where Hennis's junkyard used to be that I'm not doing anything with right now, and have some thoughts of possibly leasing them part of that. Would be a lot of terms and conditions, obviously, but I'm tossing that around that may be a solution for everybody and help them get their business going, maybe to a point where they can buy some property.
My name is Mary Ann Greenfield, and I'm a customer of Delhi Community Compost since last summer, and for me it's been life-changing. Literally, I've become so much more aware of the environment. I took the tour of the landfill. It was really enlightening. I've also been able to cut my garbage to the landfill in half. A garbage man used to come every week, now he comes every other week, because all of the rest of that goes to Delhi Community Compost. So I don't understand what's going on at their facility. I'm not a neighbor, I live here in the village, but I would be devastated, personally, emotionally devastated, if anything should happen to shut this business down. I want it to continue. I don't care where, but I want it to continue.
My name is Brian Crabtree. I'm Kelly's partner and also a neighbor, and I likewise would like to see their business continue, but it needs to be in a place that can actually handle the quantity. I'm not on Facebook, but I was told there was something like 400 signatures or something like this, and if this is any indicator of how many people are actually subscribing to this service and potentially taking half of the yard waste and kitchen waste to a 0.6 acre facility that is right next to a bunch of neighbors.
Yeah, it's a
I mean,
house.
basically, it's just,
Right.
you're taking it
It's
from
not
one place
enough.
and you're putting it somewhere else, and with that small of an area, there's not enough room to actually compost properly. It's just going to be an anaerobic dump where basically food gets slapped down on the ground, and it's gonna create a sludge problem. It just, you basically need to have a lot more room and a lot more resources to do it properly. So I applaud the effort, but it really just needs to be in the right place.
My name's Joanne O'Connell, also a neighbor, and we all agree that the idea and the hard work is there and it's good. But as Brian said, it just is growing. I also have a problem coming out of getting onto Peaks Brook because of the piles and the piles of compost on the road and such. And, the noise is an issue. There's machinery going at night, later at night than I think it should in a residential area that's a little disturbing and noisy. But I hope that we all can get to a point where we can support them, but in a way that it's not affecting, we've got rats, the brook, our main source of water is the brook, it's right there, and I really think we need to talk about that.
My name's Cindy Wright. I own Dirty Girl Farm in Andes. Maria has a pickup location at our farm. It's been a real asset to us. A lot of times people who have food waste like to bring it to a farm because we have goats and people think goats eat everything. And they really don't. It was great that she picked up the Christmas trees this past year because people throw Christmas trees in our fenced-in area, which actually changes the taste of the milk. So this year we didn't have any issues. We've also had a lot of neighbors who live in Andes in the town bring food to be composted who wouldn't normally come to our farm for goat cheese or goat milk. They're just not into that. So with them coming to the farm for that reason, they've also stopped at our farm store, and they've also bought things from other farmers that we sell there. We sell jams and jelly and honey and all that stuff. When we bought our farm, we had to go to the town board and get a special use permit to open the farm as a farm again. And it was 5, almost 6 months of back and forth with the town. I would just like to see the town, even if the town itself does not have the resources or the wherewithal of how to fix the problem, if they can come up with the people who can advise Maria how to go about what she needs to do, because it's a great service. I think everybody thinks it's great. She's a hard worker, and I just think it would be great if the town helps figure out how to make it happen so everybody's happy.
If we can pull that off, we'll have world peace. If we can get half the people happy on a given day, we're doing good. Anyone else?
Well, since I'm the owner and operator of everything, well, everything was said was great, and there was an issue, and it was partially because we grew too fast for the land that we I honestly, when I started Delhi Community Compost, I honestly thought the area would not support it, in that nobody would be interested. So I didn't really think that I would, I didn't adequately set up or think I would need a land to maybe like several years down the road. So then all of a sudden it started coming in and it's like, okay, now I gotta, figure out, okay, how do I deal with all this stuff? So, and unfortunately I didn't necessarily, reach out to people to say, hey, I need more land, we just tried as a family to kind of just try to take care of it ourselves, and it didn't work. And so, and I emailed some of you just a brief synopsis of what had, some of our efforts, and, we went around and, tried to make amends with the neighborhood, and, even though it was kind of late after the fact, helped them out with some rat poison and trying to help the issue on our end. We've been using traps and poison the last few months, but like, we've talked to other people, they said when they've had rats, they don't disappear overnight. It takes some time, and, we're trying to, and we've noticed a significant decrease so that when we go out there, I don't see them running around. I saw like the other day, I saw 2 versus, more than that, running around. So, so we've been trying to make efforts to, make it work. But, like what Abby said, we don't have adequate land. On the contrary, we don't have money to buy new land. And one of the things that we've been trying to do is there's an abandoned farm down half a mile down the road. Delaware County Economic Development has been contacting the owner, who's like the person who's paying the taxes, an attorney from New York City. They're not returning their calls. It's a perfectly good piece of land. There's not, like, it's neighboring Ben's property a little bit, but it's far, far away. There's much.
You won't reach him.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. He won't get back to you.
Yeah, I know. People don't, so it's, so that would be an ideal location, but unfortunately, they don't seem to want to do anything with the land, and it's just sitting there doing nothing, and unfortunately, they are still paying taxes, so it's not gonna be going into foreclosure, so, while we do charge for our services right now, is pretty much just going for expenses, and all our time is pretty much volunteer, so, business-wise, it's not necessarily, sustainable, and trying to look at our future, how to rectify this issue with more land would be good, but on the same token, it would take a lot of money to be able to move everything to new land, get everything set up we would need. Right now we just have a tow dingo, it's very small, it won't, it's a lot of work to move the piles because it's so small. And, skid steers and other equipment are very expensive, so, it's just, so we love being a service to the community and would love to continue, as well as trying to make it something that it's not new people, so it's not affecting other people, but yet it's able to benefit the community. And so I just, on here, I just listed some properties that we had kind of looked at, and like Ben had mentioned one place, his place, but unfortunately, there's also a lot of people right around that area too. So we're trying to find some place that has land that isn't, sloping, so, it's just hard to find land around this area. The other thing that somebody had proposed was the, behind the water treatment plant. There's there's like 44 acres there that's owned by the village of Delhi, that they already take trees and, leaves and some other stuff that's kind of compostable already there, and there's not really any houses nearby except for the nursing home up on the hill, so I don't know if that would even be an option, so, and so that's And I also have a letter here that, we sent to, an email that we sent to Ben the first time when he brought something up to us, and at that time, we didn't know that it had affected any of the other neighbors. We didn't know that until like December, when, Jody said, it was talking to my mom and said, oh, did you know that other neighbors were affected? We're like, no, as far as we knew, it was only Ben. So, unfortunately, we didn't know that other neighbors were being affected, so we couldn't kind of take action to try to help them out with, without us knowing about it. And
It's 'cause they don't look for shelter until it gets cold.
That brought them in.
so I guess that,
If I could maybe make a suggestion to you a bit, business-wise, I mean, it sounds like you kind of went into this without much planning. Which, with anything, without a good plan, you really don't have any good execution. I'm sure there's some, I know there's some in my industry, but I'm sure some in the agricultural type industry. There's retired executives, or retired business folk who, there's some different organizations that will volunteer their time to coach you on different things, and that
yeah.
may be something
I
to,
did go down to school
look
in
into.
Binghamton, the business counseling, but I didn't,
yeah, because they can may be able to help you find financing for expansion or to purchase some land, things like that.
Yeah,
But it can be a big help and some really good insight.
yeah.
Good point.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Okay. Anybody else for privilege of the floor?
Just a question. So our next step is to file with the code enforcement.
I would still file something,
Okay.
So each of
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it's,
Thank
for
you.
us, it's, at the town level, we can't really do much in line with enforcement without written complaints. We need signed written complaints.
Okay.
Maria, did you have to get permits or anything to start?
I looked into permits, and unless you are handling over, what was it, 3,000 cubic yards of raw materials per year, you're not required to have a permit.
Those
was gonna say,
rules
probably
exist
be on
as
the
long as you don't have a nuisance factor.
True.
If there's a smell.
Yeah.
If there's a sound.
And that was also, like, one of the
Yeah.
issues with that was you need a lot of brown materials, so a lot of leaves
Right.
and wood mulch, and because we're out in the country, like, all the stuff gets taken over to Wayne Snyder's property. So we were trying to kind of fight with the village to try to get the leaves, we were trying to get all the brown materials, but, even like in the past, we've asked like tree companies to drop off, but because we're on a back road, nobody wants to drop that stuff off because it's out of the way.
Right.
And if we go to Wayne Snyder, he wants $35 a yard for the wood mulch, so it's not,
But then again, you start taking on that much volume, you might get
There's no
you
way.
might get the same amount of
That's-
complaints. You just don't have the room.
Okay, well, we're gonna move forward with the rest of the meeting.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
You wanna really be bored, you can stick around.
Thanks, but no thanks.
You can go home and have dinner or whatever.
Just see if
Jack, like Joe, friend Jody, good for you for thinking about offering this stuff.
Yes,
Three sets of minutes.
It is, and it's a great thought, good for you for doing that.
Yeah.
Really nice.
December 26th.
Spectrum on invested land for landfill?
Very interesting, I learned a lot today.
Yes.
Take care.
So get something done.
Yes.
First by Janet, second by Matt. Everybody, all in favor?
Alright,
Yeah, it was very good meeting.
Let's see, old business.
Yeah.
The Historical Association, I guess, is going to take the voting machine. Somebody just needs to get them in touch with the mayor and.
thought I'd done that.
I haven't heard what they picked it.
I do not know if they've picked it up or not, but
We're just trying to get something.
I
Yeah.
gave Angie at the Historical Association the phone number for Village Hall. And she was going to call, and the last, I guess, I knew about it, I thought you had sent out an email saying that they were interested.
Yeah, when you called me, the guy from, yeah, that's as far as I know, yeah, I don't get it.
It's here, it's not my way.
I don't believe it's in the mayor's way either, where he is.
Hopefully somebody will get it. DC, or, yeah, New York City DEP land acquisition on Elk Creek. They finally all agreed that the, tax maps and the numbers and the actual tax rolls do not match. So they've got a problem. So they've got their legal staff rewriting all of that land acquisition. On a related front, we've got another land acquisition notification for Holmes Hollow Road, section 213, block 2, lot 9. Basically 113.9 acres roughly. The owner's gonna keep about 79 acres. The city would buy about 35 of it on the lower side near the stream. So we kinda do a generic response with the help of the county planning, but if anybody has anything they'd like to add, please let me know.
Tell them stop with the land grab.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
I wish I could get them to stop. But,
What's the name of the property owner?
I don't think I have the name on this one. Be the first property up Holmes Hollow once you cross into Delhi. Just city.
Coming from Hamden, you mean?
Yeah, coming up from Hamden.
Yeah. And Dragon has animals there, that's all I know. Yeah. That farm was sold, you know, 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. New business. Franchise agreement. Are we ready to let poor Kevin finish one out and go home?
Yes.
Is there a motion authorizing me to sign the franchise agreement?
So moved.
Oh, with one change. My email is just supervisor@townmtg.org instead of town supervisor. So
Okay.
I crossed it out on my copy, but
We'll make that correction
just,
then.
just black that out, that's the only thing.
So,
So a motion by Matt, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Billy, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Carried. So we'll get that signed and. Want me to just sign the copy I have and just.
If you require originals, then, you can send them to me, or I can stay and get originals for you this evening. Whatever works for you. I can actually function under electronic copies. PSC's fine with that as well. There's a process that we have to go through, that'll take some time, so, either way, you can have them all scanned to me electronically if that works for you. You don't have to.
Trying to figure out what I did with my copy.
Are you signing for them? Kevin?
I can't, no. It goes through a review process that takes a little while before it gets countersigned and then sent back to me.
If you're okay with me just signing with that, little cross out there, I can sign it now and you can